This year has been an absolute roller coaster of Transformers getting added to my collection and draining the shit out of me financially, emotionally, and mentally. But my excitement on new releases lately has been kind of dwindling over the last couple of reviews because I feel like I've seen everything at this point. I mean shit, where do you go from figures like goddamn Zatar or the Quintesson Judge? Right back to G1, dumbass! This time I feel like my excitement is justified though because holy shit, they finally gave us a good Sunstreaker! Can I take a second to talk about how important this guy is to Transformers media, and how he's never in anything? You see, the Diaclone Microchange line highlighted a red pre-paint of Sunstreaker before Transformers even came out, and for a time, this mold was the mascot of Diaclone. This guy was translated into the Autobot rankings in 1984 as one of the original Lambros and Jet Judo jackasses matched alongside Sideswipe. But aside from that, what have we gotten from him in the last 10 years? A sloppy second Combiner Wars repaint? Yeah, no. And you know, I just cannot understand it. Earthrise Sunstreaker transforms into the most sexy transforming robot vehicle of all time, a 1980s Lamborghini Countach. Every 14-year-old's dream car in the 80s, and still my dream car to the day. With that being said, how does this vehicle mode fare in his Earthrise release? Well, it certainly exists. I do love the low, sharp riding angle of the car with the tiny headlights pointing out at the top. The paint on the sides and anything that isn't the top or back of the car looks to be the perfect shade of yellow, but the roof of the car and the forearms in the back look like hot shit because they do not match. If you have it in brighter lighting, it's fine and all, but if you go even slightly into the shade, the whole illusion falls apart. I cannot figure out the difficulty of a consistent yellow paint scheme. Hubcap matches perfectly, but it seems like they just don't want to go through the effort in this case. The translucent blue windscreen looks really goddamn gorgeous, with a nice mechanical sculpted detail that translates into the robot mode, as well as a sick-ass super booster on the back with some 1980s cheesemo apparel that I approve of. The silver painted wheels without any bullshit exposed mushroom pegs look so much better than the shit show on wheels that was Earthrise Smokescreen, but the sides of the car is where things really start to fall apart. They do not line up without having a big-ass seam line cracks that are 110% visible. Yeah, it's nitpicking, but not really. The whole point of a Transformer this awesome is to have a car that looks like a non-diecast transforming model of a car. But to me, even if I leave the room and walk in on the thing from like 100 yards away, I could still see the cracks in the thing with my fucking Predator vision, which causes the illusion of this whole thing to fall apart. But wait, there's more! The back of the thing gets even more sucktastic. Jesus goddamn Christ. Why can Wheeljack have his entire arms wrap around the sides and the back of the car without leaving so much as an imperfection, but this thing can't manage to line up the goddamn forearms, and the top of the windshield will not tab in. I can get it to work for short periods of time, but if you so much as blow on it, it's gonna dislodge.
Why can't we make what we want to make the way we want to make it? Why?
This car mode is so close to being peak performance perfection, but between the discoloration of the yellow and the seam lines, it just comes off as mediocre, dragging the whole thing down for no reason. And it sucks because the shape of a car is perfect, but the silhouette in this case just doesn't suffice against the cosmetic imperfections that stick out like a sore thumb in the vehicle mode. Now that I've verbally incinerated this alt mode, let's get on to his robot mode. Ah, I see where the big dick energy is. It was hiding under a shell of mediocrity. This is Sunstreaker right here. I love the sideways robo-mohawk that's like fuck, but I do wish I could add some kind of facial expression on these things besides just serious, grim, war, depression, terrible toy commercial show. The sculpted details on the shoulder is pretty boss, but am I the only one who doesn't remember Sunstreaker having shoulder stacks? I mean, it looks cool as shit, but I never really noticed them until I bought this absolute Chad and started looking at some G1 artwork of him. The Autobot logo looks like the paint was unevenly applied and it's already starting to fade, like the one on Wheeljack who he heavily retools. The black sculpted detail on the legs is fine, but here's the thing. They had to add full headlights to get it facing the front, which is really goddamn stupid. They could have just had the feet fold right down in the front of the thing, saving themselves an unnecessary step of transformation, but they just had to add an extra waist swivel in the transformation, even if it meant adding more effort and more full parts. This is the thing that's irritating about this, that they actually had to go out of their way to make full parts just so they could keep this superficial horseshit, black sculpted detail that's too inaccurate. I'm not going to let tune accuracy be forgiven on any iteration, because believe me, I don't want this line turning into an entire deluxe class MP44 shit show. One thing I will say is that the materials he's comprised of actually feel really damn solid, with some chunk-tastic, easy to grip and firmly hold plastic. I'm not worried about this thing breaking unless I do something stupid. The feet do have a tendency to be really loose, and it makes it look like he's always leaning forward or backwards for some reason. It's easy to fix if you use a little bit of glue to tighten up the joint, but I don't recommend it because this is one that has to move a lot. The rest of the joints, aside from the shoulders and hips, which are mildly loose, are actually fantastically balanced. With that being said, how's his articulation? His head rotates, shoulders rotate and move out, bicep bend and rotation, waist rotation, universal hips, knee bend, and mean tilt! All in all, Sunstreaker shares the same articulation as Siege Sideswipe, but looks so much cooler and posing the exact same way. He can do some cool shit and even use this accessory, which he doesn't include as a scanner gun thingy. Sure, why not? They could have easily made a small handgun to go with him, but it seems like they really just chicken shitted out and left us with nothing. Oh look, it's an allegory that personifies Earthrise in its majority.
Pow.
Nice.
There was no excuse to not include a weapon that was on a $20 deluxe, and while this thing comes off as being really stupid in some respects, Sunstreaker is a really goddamn fantastic mold, and I love transforming him, but the tolerances of transformation can be sucktastic in certain areas, and it feels like the paint budget dropped the ball before the 1 yard line. The seam lines in this thing blow donkey farts, but the mold behind the figure supersedes the cosmetic flaws in my opinion. Sunstreaker earns a respectable 8 out of 10, which I'll admit is being generous from an Sunstreaker earns a respectable 8 out of 10, which I admit is a little bit generous on my part from an objective standpoint, but he's a frickin' Lamborghini Countach and I'm a simp for that goddamn car.